Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Stream live each week. Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Stream live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs EricEllis and TommieLewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is EricEllis, and I'm the President and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation. And I'm joined this morning by my good friend and my brother,
TommieLewis, President and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you calling in from your New York office?
Yeah, I know, right? Eric, I'm in Chicago, Illinois.
That's right.
Wife and I, we've come up here for our little reprieve. We like to go to a spa here in Chicago called King Spa. Very, very relaxing. The hotel that we're in right now is out near O'Hare Airport.
Okay.
And there's a festival that's happening here. I had never heard of the festival prior to yesterday when we arrived. And there were a lot of people here in the hotel. And folks were wearing these shirts that said G Fest. And I said, G Fest, I don't know what that's about. But there was a caricature on the shirt as well that I was familiar with.
Okay.
G Fest is for Godzilla Festival. And so there are folks from around the world who have convened here in Chicago, Illinois, to celebrate the monster, the series, the phenomenon of Godzilla. Eric, they will have a panel of a series of panels, but you have some of the originators, Japanese originators from Japan who are here, actors from Japan who are here. There are folks from America, Australia, obviously Japan, Europe, they're here. It is flooded with these folks. And so I would say this, that different strokes from different folks.
Right.
And I would say that the work that we do, it's not only for us, and it's never just been for us, but I would like to say that the work that we do is to meet people where they are. People are phenomenal. And so you'll see people passing behind me. There may be some folks that may be interested in sharing a little bit about what brought them here to G-Fest. But that's where I am in Chicago, Illinois, not at G-Fest, but conducting diversity conversations remotely from our location.
Right. Well, Tommy, we're always glad to connect with you. I love the fact that you get in your R&R because it's a part of the solution to what we're talking about today around the topic of being unshakable. Tommy, as I look at consequential conversations that I had this week, there were a couple, one I was in, one I was listening to. The one that I was in was with my son. So my youngest son, Ethan, I've now persuaded him, he's become actually on his own more interested in golf. And he's a musical genius. And so I'm seeing that the same detailed orientation that he has around music is increasing his interest in the golf swing. And so we went out yesterday, and Tommy, we didn't hit very many balls because I was so busy trying to teach him about the golf swing and about connectedness under the arms and using the big muscles. And Tommy, it's amazing that as I was teaching him, I was reminding myself of some lessons that I hadn't really fully internalized. I've been telling them, but I haven't. Until you have to teach somebody from the ground floor up, you actually don't implement all the things that you know. So I was trying to get him to be connected and not just have his arms and hands lift the club up. And so I started showing him how to sway, but with your shoulders turning, and the clubs can't go anywhere that your chest doesn't go. Tommy, when I did that with him, and then I started hitting my own balls, I was like, oh my goodness, that lesson was essential to me. And so I put the club right where it's supposed to be technically. And then I realized that I wasn't always putting my club there. I said, oh my goodness. And Tommy, when I started hitting the balls, so it's just amazing how in life, sometimes when you're giving something away, in the midst of giving, you gain something that you had not anticipated.
So as you were talking with your son, coaching him up, if you will, what are some of the steps that you take in your mind when you're introducing something new to another person? When you're introducing this swing, do you consider them? Do you consider their goals? Do you consider your own approach? What are some of the things that you consider as you're coaching, sharing, training someone else that may in turn enlighten you as well?
So let me just go back a step. So yesterday was actually the second lesson that I've given him this week. A couple of days ago, he decided to come over to the driving range and I gave him the first lesson. I had been sitting down next to an older black gentleman, and this older black gentleman recognized me from Wright State. I couldn't believe it. Tommy, he recognized me from my days of playing ball at Wright State. And so he was 75 years old. And so when he and I were just sitting down, there was a young white kid there, and I was helping him with his golf swing. And then when Ethan came, I started helping Ethan as well. And you know what I was interested in asking the older gentleman? I asked him, I said, did you notice anything different in the way that I taught my son versus this kid? Because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't being any harder or anything. I just wanted to get his insight. He said, well, first of all, instructing your son is going to be very different than instructing that other kid. He said, your son is your son. He said, he's your blood. So clearly you had even a higher vested interest in helping him. He said, but I thought you did that in a quite respectful manner, and you honored him. But when you ask a question, Tommy, the first thing I do is I start assessing how much detail can a person assimilate. Because if I see their eyes rolling over or anything like that, I'm losing them. So it doesn't matter how much interest I have in giving them detail. I have to first assess what's their interest level, what is their capacity to hear detail, where's the best place to start. And so Ethan went for even the grip, getting that right. And then I got the posture right. And I had to show him why everything was done. So how do you know how far to be from the ball? Here's the technique. And he just ate all that up. And I could see that it was tough for him to not be able to hit a ball, but his orientation is much like mine. I want to get the fundamentals down. He said, when I looked around there and saw all these raggedy swings, I said, I could come here like everybody else and just start swinging balls.
Yeah.
He said, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I want to be good at this game, and I want to get the fundamentals down. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, that is great. That's great. What was the lesson well received from your son?
Yeah. We talked about it afterwards. I mean, we really talked about it afterwards. And I told him, I said, look, go up there on your own sometimes so you don't have to be lorded over by me. I said, because sometimes you get more nervous when you're being observed. So just go there and then try things out on your own. I told him to get a lesson from Tony up at Beckett, just so he has different people to learn from. But he's quite receptive to my teaching. And I've been really sensitive about that over the years because I haven't always been a great teacher with my own children, because you're so interested in them getting it that sometimes, you just have to watch your emotion and make sure that you're keeping everything at a level that they can appreciate and benefit from it.
And I also hear, Eric, a great lesson in practice what you preach. So as you were preaching, if you will, and teaching and training and coaching and listening with your son and kind of a stranger, if you will, I think it inspired you, as it does me as well, to then apply what you are seeing and what you're teaching. So there could be a big disconnect between telling everybody what the right way to be, what's the right thing to do, and then you not living that example, right?
That's
I think
huge.
you do a great job of doing that.
Tommy, when I started, first of all, I just rediscovered that the club was in front of my chest more, and the swing was simpler. And literally, because I was connected, and he asked me a question. He said, "Okay, I know how to get to the top of the backswing." He says, "But how do you get to the top the other way?" And so I show him in slow motion, like tick, 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 tick. And then I said on the up, so downswing, when you start going up, I said your shoulders have to really just take and press that club. And when I started doing that, I said, oh, connection, pressing forward. And so then I started just coming from just going forward and seeing what that felt like to drive the club up forward. Tommy, it was a sensation that I had never fully felt. The other thing I did is sit down with him, and I had him just hold the club. We were sitting on a bench together, and bounce the club in your hand so you could just feel how heavy the head of the club is. And then I had him waggle it back and forth slowly, just slowly. I said, now look, if somebody hit you in your head with that club just waggling slowly, wouldn't that hurt? Yeah. That's how powerful the club is all by itself. So it doesn't need you swinging it crazy. It's powerful and heavy on its own. And so it was fascinating, the opportunity to teach something I love to someone I love who now loves it, and learning again in the midst of the process.
Yeah, Eric, I know that we started the show and we were sharing these specifics around golf, but as I'm listening to you, I can see that these lessons are applicable to anything that we do in life. So when we are at work, when we're in the community, when we're at home in our private lives, what focus might we be able to apply to any area of our life to get better? And when we are focused and continuously improving, when there are challenges, we are literally unshakable. We're literally building resilience, not for what's working well, but when it goes left, when it goes wrong. Again, at work, in our communities, even when we have dreams that and aspirations and visions that we're not materializing.
Right.
Focus on the moment. The moment may have the weight in and of itself. So are we learning from the moment, right? Versus, well, my time is not right because my dream hasn't happened. It's the journey to now. And the now is today. So I think that's what helps us build resilience, that we're never overnight successes. We're never overnight pop-ups, oh, I'm here. It's always kind of a giver taking lessons learned and taught, mostly lessons learned, and then shamelessly stealing great ideas that are offered to us. Again, not stealing ideas that are owned by other people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when I'm with you and having these conversations with you in the community, and folks like, you can take that. Okay, hold on. What are you going to do with that idea? What are you going to do with that input? Well, I'm not going to do anything. I will take it. Because I can apply that in my life now. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for the 2 cents.
Right, absolutely. Lydia, let's go ahead and bring up our topic for today, which is unshakable. And so I was thinking about this. Tommy and I have a lot of conversations about being resilient. And so we wanted to share with you, community, 5 powerful strategies to overcome fear when others try to block your purpose. Too often, we give too much strength and respect to people and situations that try to oppose us. And one of the things that I started thinking about, Tommy, is what does it mean to be unshakable? And I don't think that that means that we never have fear. It says here 5 powerful strategies to overcome fear. Fear can come even in the game that we play, golf. Fear can come right now. A lot of people in our community, in our nation, around the world are living their lives in fear. And Tommy, what does it mean to you when you hear the concept or the word unshakable?
I think, fear, overcoming fear, is very interesting to me, Eric. I believe that all people experience some sense of fear, uncertainty. Uh, Maybe they could be immobilized, right, by fear. It can really bind them, that they don't move, they don't progress. And sometimes fear can inspire people to do things, sometimes on the right side of the fence, sometimes on the wrong side of the fence. I know I have, and I know other people that's done certain things and thought certain things out of fear. Fear is a projection. It is. Now, there are studies that say that 95% of the things that we fear never happen.
Right, right.
95%. And so, with that being said, if you believe that, and I do, because I create fear myself of looking at the walls of barriers of challenge and obstacles versus the opportunity that's further down that I can't even see. So when I'm focusing on the now that may present itself with barriers, things like that, what helps me be unshakable is to know that the the fear sometimes is in my head,
Right,
right? So I have to understand, who am I,
right,
where am I, and why am I,
right,
right? And that really grounds me to diminish, if not eliminate, the sense of fear, because
right.
I have it just like you and everyone else have it. Just have to overcome it.
Right, right. Community says, I love the topic of fear equals false evidence appearing real. And so, as we were thinking about the topic of unshakable, community, what we want to do today is to say to you that no matter what attacks you experience, that unshakable means it's the stabilizing factor of standing up in the face of people trying to knock you down. And unshakable doesn't mean that you don't feel anything, but it means that your overall countenance recognizes, believes, is confident that I'm getting back up.
Yeah, absolutely. Easier said than done, right? We don't want to send that message out. It is absolutely easier said than done. However, I believe that with consistent overcoming fear, that practice, that mindset, you become more comfortable with overcoming fear.
Right.
Right? Yeah, let's continue. Yeah.
And so let me bring the slides back up, but I'll say this, that probably part of my reason around the topic, Tommy, is that fear can start entering in because of the time frame that we're living in and because of so much negativity being spewed every day. If you're not careful, you can be overcome by fear. And then God, his scripture and his word says we are unshakable. And so let's look at the first sort of slide. Let's go to the next slide there, Lydia. And the first point that Tom and I want to make is anchor yourself. These are strategies to sort of overcome fear, to be unshakable. Anchor yourself in your why. Your purpose ultimately disarms fear. When people try to block or attack your progress, reconnect with your deeper reasons for doing what you do. Tommy, you want to weigh in?
So I think this is twofold, Eric, and anchoring yourself in your why. One fold is as we continue to explore ourselves, learn ourselves, get a better definition of our why, I think that's one side of our why.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a truthful side. I think it's an direct experienced side of the why. But then there's another side of that why and helping us anchor ourselves in our why. It's what other people who encourage us, who know us, see in us that we may not be able to see in ourselves.
Mm.
I think that's very, very powerful because sometimes our why is seen through our own eyes,
Right.
which is the glass or the lens of our own experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And so we may unintentionally limit ourselves to the greatest potential because we can only see what we've experienced. We can only see what we've actually can see. And that in and of itself may create fear and doubt and uncertainty. I cannot achieve this goal because I've never achieved it before in my life. I don't know anyone in my life that has achieved it. And so I'm afraid to move forward to achieve it. Time out. You created your own fear monger.
Right.
Other people are saying, we see a talent in you.
Right.
That if you just step out in faith or you step out with some resources that I'm willing to provide you,
Right.
you'll do it.
Right.
So anchoring yourself in your why, it absolutely proposes to disarm fear, your own why, and the power of other folks saying, I see your why.
And then Lydia said, and sometimes we have fear of our greatness.
I like that.
And I think that's a powerful point. I'm not sure that we always define it as greatness. Our greatness, we may not see it that way. And when you are great about something, you just sort of, you are, but you don't actually recognize. And so I spend a lot of time speaking to my children about their greatness. And I have to make sure that they don't think it's just another parent. You're dead. You're always going to think I'm the best. So like that don't even count. No, it actually does count. And I think that it's important to remind people of their why they're here on earth, the special gifts and talents that they have that make them great, so that the noise of discouragement doesn't overtake them.
Yeah, Eric, I understand exactly what Lydia is saying. And I do concur. I will tell you that in for 4 or 5 years that my energy, my spirit was impregnated with this idea of creating my own company. We're talking about the late 80s, moving into the early 90s. Every single day, I had this feeling like I am bigger than what I'm thinking. I'm bigger than my environment. I was exposed to different organizations. I was exposed to different career opportunities, but I was still impregnated with this. I can help people. I have a
Right.
talent. It's not just athletics. It's not just being a good son or a good brother. It's not just that. I can oh, hold on. Let me let me not say too much because I'm afraid if it happens, right?
Right.
And literally, sometimes we do have fear of our greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, my greatness was in the gift of giving.
Right.
And as I continued to give, I started the company and I continued to give, I continued to receive in abundance. And then I gave more and received more. And then it became great. Oh, I don't know where I feared that it was going to get out of control.
Right.
And I may get out of control. So I understand what she's saying, right? Some
Right.
people want to be movie stars and be rich, but fear the famous part.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
I'll tell you right now, in my business, in my personal life, which is melded together, the
Right.
work that we do at Make It Plain and
Right.
myself, that there is a reality that everyone is not your fan and your cheerleader. Folks sometimes are sitting in the bushes waiting for you to fail or creating stories to give the impression of failure.
Right.
I only say that, Eric, because I, like you, in these situations that are happening today,
Right.
I'm anchored in my why. That was started 30 and 35 years ago, if not more than that. I'm anchored.
Right.
So that's when I'm able to be unshakable. But I know my why. I know
Right.
why I'm helping people.
Right. And what that means, Tommy, for us is that it doesn't matter who does what in the world. It doesn't change our purpose. It doesn't change our why. It doesn't matter whether the trappings change, whether some of the terminology changes. It doesn't change our why. And so we're not sitting around because we've been attacked now wondering, how do I start over? Like, do I go back to square one? No, I'm not looking at square one because I know my why. I know my purpose. And so those are the things that drive us forward. That is our true north in the spite of whatever happens around us.
Spot on. Yeah, and a great conversation. Again, Lydia brought it up too, real quick, that we do want to encourage our community to like and subscribe, right? As Eric and I have said this many, many times, community, we thank you. If you were not here, it'll be Eric and I still talking with one another
Right.
at the end of the day, right? And I mean that seriously, that the pouring into one another, for me personally, provides me tools and techniques to become unshakable. I have to have these conversations with Eric. I have to have these conversations with a few other folks so that I know I'm not the only one in this world battling through this thing called life. I'm not the only one in this world with dreams and aspirations that are deferred, arrested, and or fear has stricken me. Folks that are going through it say, what?
Right.
If you don't have fear and butterflies, what's happening? In fact, I'm working with this other person, an executive, and she was talking about a program she's putting together, a phenomenal program. And she said maybe 2 or 3 times, I'm very, very nervous. I feel scared. I haven't really felt this type of nervousness and afraidness in years, right? And I said, I knew she was talking about years, like a couple to 3 decades. And I said, I understand your feeling. As an athlete that played multiple sports, that every competition I had butterflies, right? Nervousness. The nervousness was not from me thinking I was going to lose. I never felt nervous. Oh, we're going to lose. Oh, we're going to lose. No, the nervous is, what if I don't perform at my top? Right? That was the nervousness. Nervousness is let's get it. Let's get it. And oh, did I prepare well enough for this challenge? Right? Do I have the right teammates? And did I help them? Are they more nervous than me? In football, always had nervous until the first hit.
Right.
Yes, Eric.
Now you're ready to go.
Ready to go. Basketball, the first tip off.
Right.
Golf, it's always a lot of aspiration before the tournament starts, before the round starts. They have big goals, right? Some nervousness. Then you hit the ball first time, like, oh, okay, that's what type of day it's going to be. Or I've hit balls before.
Right.
So for us, as we have nervousness and fear to be unshakable, is that if you're blessed to see the next day, you realize that, oh, I've been in life before.
Right.
So let us know our why and take steps toward achieving a better why.
Let's go. Hey, Lydia, bring back up the slides and let's go to point number 2. And so let's go ahead and advance the slide. Build inner and outer resilience, strong roots, weather storms. When you're under attack, self-doubt creeps in. Tommy, we've experienced that. Strengthen both your inner world, your mental, emotional health, and your outer systems, your networks, your routines, and even your rest. Tommy?
Well, let me ask you the question that's asking here, Eric. I want to ask this of you.
Okay.
Who or what restores you? And are you doing that enough?
Right. So it restores me to be in loving connection with people that I value. So people like TommieLewis, people like Terry Cooley, Benny Bray. I've been calling my friend Benny Bray up a lot here recently. I've been spending more time with each of my children. I enjoy golf. I enjoy doing music. Those are the things that restore me. Making time to be in conversation with God, that restores me. Because there's all kind of elements in our mentality, and not all of them are positive, Tommy.
Right.
And so sometimes we can get out there, just either having a pity party or just anything, because you're never too old for distractions to say we're done with you. No, distractions are always going to be looking for you. And so you've got to make sure you're doing things that are restoring you, your understanding of your purpose, your passion to move forward, your strength to move forward. That's not easy. Even for me, coming home at the end of the day and doing a jacuzzi, Tommy, restores me. Getting in the tub, turning on the jets, and just laying back and being thankful for the moment of peace that I'm just soaking up. Those are the kind of things that restore me.
Yeah, Eric, that was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Thank you for sharing. And as I was listening to you, I was also reminded of what restores me. Um, and I'll be even more specific and more immediate. So, Eric, for me, I like routine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I like putting together a process, testing that process, and if the process works, i.e., it provides produces an outcome that I like, I stick with it. When you come into my home, if it were up to me, the furniture would stay in the same place forever.
Mm-hmm.
I go through the process. Where am I going to put the furniture? I make the decision. I put the furniture there, and it's working.
Right.
And when some people come over, you need to change this up, or even with the wife, with her ideas of changing, I'm like, why? It's working.
Right.
At the office, I've been in the same office space since we ever been in the building, right? Um, and for the last couple of months, I've been complaining to our COO, Nicole, that I'm I feel stuck in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not generating enough ideas. I need some help. What I do personally, Eric, is I take vacations, be it a day vacation or that's what I do to restore myself. What Nicole has done, she has forced me at looking at our office space and moving my office, which concluded on yesterday.
Right.
It took me 2 weeks to move a desk, a computer, a chair, and a couple of cabinets.
Right.
Four items took me 2 weeks,
Right.
right? And as I was transitioning from one room to the next room, which is a larger space, I started to purge some things out. I
Mm-hmm.
started to feel restored. I started to feel energized. Oh, I got some new thinking. My my desk is facing in a new direction. Eric, I'm now facing the sun. Amen. I'm facing the sun. Before my back was to the sun,
Right.
right now I have to turn when I want an inspiration to look up and praise God, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank publicly Nicole Keith for really speaking to me in the way that I needed to be spoken to create the change that I needed for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know and she knows if she would have spoke to me in one way, I would have pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
I would have
Right.
went, you know, I think everything is good. I'm good. I'll just take another vacation, come back and get into the same routine that got me into the space of nothingness.
Right.
So although I went away to Chicago for 2 days, I come back and my mind is back to not being restored, but going back to repeating. Now I'm in the space, starting on Monday, I'm restored. New space, new direction, new hope, new dreams, new aspirations, new resilience. I want to give a shout out.
Right. Bring up the slides, Lydia. Again, community, we are focused on today, unshakable. And so what we want to say to you is that no matter what life is throwing your way, we have some strategies today that we believe will help you be unshakable. Let's go back to 2, and let's look at what you should ask. Who or what restores me? Am I doing that enough? And then resilience actions, like, what are things that you can practice? Journaling, walking, unplugging, praying, breathing. These are things that you can do that will help to build your inner and outer resilience. I bought a bike. I think I mentioned that here on Diversity Conversations a couple of weeks ago. And now I take my Schwinn bike out and I just ride it around the parking lot and the office complex around our building. And it builds up inner resilience. I throw on my ear pods. This is something I haven't done in years. I feel like a kid again. I'm literally out there pedaling my bike, standing up with these 2 new knees, and standing up and pedaling. That shouldn't be a big deal, Tommy. But at our ages, it is a big deal. But I'm grateful to be able to do that and to be able to thank God for the moment. You see, what tries to shake you is the enemy, overwhelming you with negativity and the pressures of life. Sometimes you have to lock those out and you have to do things, engage in practices that can make you stronger and more unshakable. Tommy?
Yeah, Eric, I love this conversation because when I'm hearing you speak, Eric, I feel that you're not, and we're not lecturing to one another or our community. Right. These are things that we are actually doing.
We're living it.
Right. We're living it. Now, community, if there are other ways that you would like to recommend, feel free. Join the chat room, right? Give a call in. We can do all that because Eric and I don't have all the answers.
No.
We have done research and all that good stuff, but one size does not fit all. And just like Eric just said, you can journal. That may work for you. It may not. You may jog. That may work for you. It may not. You may get a bike. You may take a brief staycation or vacation. Those things may work or may not work. The key is to identify and understand what works for you to build that consistency, right?
Good. Let's go to 3. Thank you, Lydia, for meditation. Love that one. Let's go to number 3. Number 3 is lean in to courageous community. Isolation feeds fear. So in other words, we need to connect with people who remind us of our worth and feel our resolve. We need to have trusted allies who provide strength, wisdom, and protection. When TommieLewis and I are in the studio after the cameras go off, it's almost like the second half begins.
Yeah.
And the way we love each other and care deeply about one another. I mean, deeply about one another. I'm listening to Tommy talk about some of the battles that he's facing because the big opportunity that he's leading. I had to go home and tell Judy, man, I'm going to remember Tommy in prayer because he's up against it because forces, man, you think it's, everybody thinks that they aspire to do something big and to have control over a big project or opportunity. Tommy, they never see the other side, do they? All the attacks and all the people that aren't happy that you have that and who are coming after you, from gangsters to everything else. And I was just like blown away. But what I know, Tommy, is that you Terry Cooley, LG Wise. And my family, I got a few people on this earth that are for me. And part of what we're saying is that you got to connect with people who are seeking to protect you, to stand by you.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. I think that it does take a community, a village to raise a child, and I think it takes a village and a community to support a child. And we are still children of God. And I would like to thank you and Judy and others who continue to pray as we pray for one another. We pray for Lydia. We pray for, Roger Miller is joining us, T. Cooley, our entire community. And I would also just throw in if those who need that type of spiritual support, i.e., prayer, let us know. If you know someone that needs it, let us know. We're building resilience not independently and not alone. We're building it through community. Right? Even the times that we're in today are not new times. They may be new to us in different levels. But look at the arc of civilization and humanity. Humans have been through stuff, right? And I would say that when we pull up the slides again, Lydia, the bullet point number 3 that we're mentioning, again, lean into courageous community. Again, isolation is fear, leads fear. And I will also caution us a bit, Eric, here, that sometimes fear can be so intoxicating that we don't know we're being drawn into a community that's full of fear and that operates out of fear, and that fear begets fear.
Right.
So we have to be cautious that when we're leaning into and exploring different communities to build courage, we don't want to have that false sense of courage, right? And again, we know what happens. Sometimes folks lean into different, social networks and physical communities, and maybe even some devices and or anything that we take into our body that fuels fear, right? And the number one thing that we do take into our body, particularly our minds, Eric, are words. So when we're encouraged by the folks, we have to know that those are words of encouragement. And we also have to know when some words are full of fear.
Right.
So, yeah, we can look at other people and say, oh, they're really afraid. The bully is really afraid.
Right. And so I chose this picture, Tommy, because I used this picture in one of my music videos. This was during the George Floyd protest. Here's a young African-American female who's standing there in the face of police in riot gear rushing up on her. And what you see is almost angelic calmness that has overcome her. You see that in the midst of them rushing, her dress is just sort of blowing slightly behind her. And there's no expression on her face because she's just there calm, as though she's standing there with a higher power. And so one of the things that I want our community to recognize is lean into courageous communities, but you don't have to be afraid because somebody else is trying to make you. And I want to say to you that you have to identify, who in my life energizes my purpose. Who are the people, and you want to make time for those in your trusted support circle. Those people who love you, care deeply about you, who will be there for you, who will encourage you, who will tell you the truth. But that's what we're saying. Make sure that you don't allow yourself to be isolated. And I want to say, Tommy, just a word of prayer right now. You mentioned prayer. And so I want to just take a minute, because there's a reason why Tommy and I have come to you all with this topic of being unshakable. And so I'm going to ask God, I pray right now that you will just wrap your arms of protection around our community, around Tommy and Penny, around me and my family. God, we need you in order to be unshakable. We are grateful that we get the chance to serve you and that you care about us just like you care about the lilies in the field. And right now, there are people in our community that may be going through all kinds of life challenges. And God, I'm asking you to be with them, to allow them to know that Tommy and I are just saying something that you have made true, that in you and with you, we are all unshakable.
Amen. Amen. That's great. That's great. And thank you, Eric. Sometimes we got to take the pause and for the cause.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's bring back up Lydia and see where we are. Let's go to number 4. So our 4th point is honor resistance as proof you're doing something worthwhile. No resistance, no growth. If you want to have no resistance, don't do anything.
Come on.
If no one is trying to stop you, you might not be challenging anything meaningful. Attacks often mean you're on the right track. Learn to see resistance not as a wall, but as a signal.
Yeah, Eric, let's unpack that a little bit, because if you're not doing anything great, even good,
right,
even mediocre, if you're not on other people's radar, do they know you're there? No.
right.
It's when you are becoming a constant blip on the radar. What is EricEllis doing? Right? Showing up on the radar screen. And before he's just like a little beep, beep, beep. And now I see him bleeping all the time. And when I talk to him directly, he's acting like ain't nothing happened. Hey, Eric, how's it been? Things been well. Things been well. You know, a couple of ups and downs, challenges, but things been well. You said a whole bunch of nothing, but you keep bleeping on the radar. Honor resistance as proof you're doing something worthwhile.
Right.
And that resistance can be in your personal life when you're just trying to make a change. You're trying to lose weight, trying to change your diet, trying to wean off any addiction you may have, whatever that might be. You're trying to make a decision to say, hey, I need to separate myself from a few folks so I can realize my dreams, and then maybe even come back to help them see the example of how to achieve dreams. Because right now we're just all in the bucket, right? Looking at one another, and I need to just get out. And once you start to break away, some folks may say, are you too good for us? Right? Oh, you've changed. You've changed. I know we've known each other for 30 years. I haven't seen you in 10 years. You've changed. The response to that is, haven't we all? Haven't we all changed in 10 years? Hopefully we change every day.
Right.
Now, we don't have to be snippy and all that good stuff.
Sure.
But that resistance is coming from somewhere. And I would say that we're all built for it. Right? We're built for that resistance, Eric. As long as we know who we are, kind of go through the steps that you're articulating to us today, it gives us tools to connect our experience with the future. And the future is there's going to be some great victories as well as some unexpected resistance and challenge.
And so Roger said sometimes standing in the comfort zone will give you a feeling of strength because you standing in the comfort zone. I mean, come on now. And then all of a sudden when resistance comes, you start folding. No, you have to honor resistance as proof that you are doing something right. After the resistance, there's expansion. That's what Lydia has said to us, is that And that's what we want to say to you, community, today, is that if you are facing resistance, it is proof that you are doing something right. So you don't cave into the resistance. You say, oh, you showed up, resistance. That means I'm doing something right. And that breakthroughs are right around the corner. Breakthroughs are right around the corner. They're about to come my way. If I begin to not look at resistance as a precursor to failure, resistance is a precursor to breakthrough. That's what I was showing my son yesterday, that resistance, and what I discovered, Tommy, I thought about it this morning, that resistance is what's happening. When I started taking my arms up, I realized that my legs were creating resistance. And I was coiling around legs that were holding the ground so that I could then powerfully break through with the swing. If the legs weren't providing resistance, if they start caving, Tommy, then I have a weak swing. But if my legs are giving me resistance, then those shoulders and arms can torque around that. And that's what we have to recognize about life. Resistance comes, we should honor that and know that it only enlightens us that breakthrough is about to happen.
Well, Eric, this is amazing to me. I'm going through something particular here, and I know we don't have a lot of time. Maybe we visit the next show or the next couple of shows, but with Lydia's comments, thank you, Lydia. God is speaking to me now. Again, resistance. After resistance, there's expansion. Three things are happening with me, Eric, and community. One, as you know and you remember some time ago, and maybe even north of a year ago, that I had expressed the business need to move into a new building.
Yeah.
And began to put together the process to purchase the property. We've had resistance. There are some things that popped up that I was not aware of with regards to the business. And literally 10 years ago, to be specific, 11 years ago, 2014. And I'm like, really? I did not even know that that was an issue, but it is. And so we've been working diligently almost daily to remedy it. And so we have some resistance with purchasing the property. The property was $700,000. I'm talking to the broker, I'm talking to other folks, and they were like, no, I don't know. I'm like, it's $700,000. They said, there's no way it's 700,000. I don't know how much it is. Long story short, that same property is about $500,000. And this has just been in 6 to 8 months.
Right.
The issue that I've been facing from 2014 is beginning to be resolved, looking to be resolved in the next couple of months. So that's one, that resistance, because I heard with Lydia's comment that my dream to get bigger and to expand was confronted with resistance. Sometimes that resistance, Eric, is physical, in physical form. Sometimes it's supernatural form. It's the enemy.
Right.
And so I had to lean into my faith to say, okay, I don't know. What I just heard God say to me through Lydia's inspiration was that God has it.
Right.
Yeah, ultimately, he moved me from my office to a new office space in the same building.
Right.
He says, be prepared for the greatness in the future. Let's see if you crumble over this little resistance, as if I don't control everything. With the new opportunity, the big opportunity, and the resistance, I also think that that's God speaking as well. If you want to play in this big world game, you got to deal with the big bricks and big arrows. Right now, you've been getting those little BB gun shots, right? And I'm saying that as I close out, Eric, because the problems that I had, maybe you had at the age of 15,
right,
we think they were big then. Right. And then now, oh man, it's almost laughable. when we
Right.
talk about being unshakable against resistance. Like,
Right.
really, that's all you got?
Right. Right.
Anyway, I'll
Right.
step back.
And what
That was
God is doing as well, Tommy, I'm gonna stay in that lane,
Yep.
is God's beginning to show me what's on the other side of resistance, that expansion. And so he's saying, hey, Eric, no, don't even look at this. It's trying to block, but that's where we're headed. We're headed over there. And I'm saying, oh, you mean we still have to prepare for growth? Yeah, I want you to teach that lesson to your children and beyond, that you never stop seeing expansion. Let's go to the next, our final slide. Powerful conversation. Community, we hope that you're getting something out of this. Separate threats from noise. Not every attack deserves your energy. Learn to distinguish between real risk and distractions designed to provoke. Some throw stones, hoping you'll abandon the path and the purpose that God has created for you. Tommy, the last time we talked, that's what I heard, is a whole bunch of folk that would make a whole bunch of noise, but they don't really understand they are no threat to what God has created for you. But we see people that many are even getting paid. They're on assignment to try to make noise in your life, as though somehow they can stop anything that God has ordained, and they can't.
Eric, I love these slides. I love the talk because, I love that you say, we ask a question, is this a real obstacle or just loud resistance? And then there's a practice. There's a practice. I think that's very, very important because as I'm looking at the practice here, community, create a filter team or inner circle, a filter team, just to run things through that you will receive objective, constructive feedback, right? Not additional noise and distractions, right? So you don't want to run through a filter that someone says, if I were you, I'll go ahead and do this, that would end it all.
Right.
Right? No. I want to run it through my filter team. Again, operative word here, Eric, team. So not just one person to get one perspective, but you run it through your team, maybe a small group of 4 or 5, and then the 4 or 5 people basically say the same thing that may match up with your inner circle.
Right.
So it's absolutely correct. It's true. It's validated.
Right.
You believe it and think it, and your team does. Now, if you run it through your filter team, and only one person confirms what you think, I don't know. You may want to lean to the other 4. Help me understand exactly why you're thinking that. Other 4, right? Because I ran it by Eric. He was on. He agreed with me. I ran it through other 4 people. Oh, okay. That's a different perspective. And Eric and I, we've been talking about perspective. Now, how should I apply my energy? It may lead to additional questions, Eric.
Right. I love that.
It may. And I'll just close out to say that as I'm thinking out loud, I at times have become so accustomed to the noise that I did not know I was being distracted.
Right.
It was just the constant sirens outside. It was the constant loud talking. And I did not even know. I didn't even know that the distraction of the noise coming from my cell phone feeds, social media feeds, all that, I didn't realize that too was a distraction where my mental and physical and psychological self was driving me to the distraction. Right? I'm having great epiphanies today in this conversation.
Same here, Tommy. There is a difference between fireworks and gunfire.
Yep.
Gunfire can potentially take your life. Fireworks are simply making noise. And so what we're saying to you, community, is that much of what is seeking to bring us down It's nothing but fireworks. It ain't real gunfire. And so make sure that you distinguish between those two, recognizing that through God, all things are possible. And the message that Tommie and I want to deliver to you today, and every time we seek to prepare a message to deliver to you, Tommie, isn't God delivering it to us first?
All the time.
And look, brothers, today I want TommieLewis and EricEllis and Lydia Sanchez to realize that you all are unshakable. Unshakable. You are my generals to make change happen in the earth. So don't allow anything like distractions to delay you or to deceive you into believing that you are not going to be able to achieve the purpose for which you were created. Today, community, we're saying to you that you are unshakable. And Tommie and I believe that with all our hearts, and we're here to be vessels to partner with you to make that happen. Tommie, you've got the final word.
I couldn't say it any better. Community, we thank you. We thank you for pouring into us to reaffirming our unshakability. It's a skill, it's a talent, it's a gift that we all need to continue to pour into. So we want to thank you. We want to, again, remind you and encourage you to come back and have another conversation with us again. But thank you for joining on this iteration, this installment of Diversity Conversations.
Take care.
We'll see you next time.